The best piece of advice I've gotten in recent years, I think, came from Greg Berlanti, and he said it to me numerous times, where I'll be opening up to him, and he said, Melissa, you have to tell people what you need, and you have to fight for what you know you need to take care of yourself. And that sounds like such a simple sentiment, but I think it's easy to take for granted and to overlook that fact, especially in this business, and especially on set. They were always on set when I would know that something didn't feel right, or a moment where I knew I needed to take a step back or take a moment to myself, even just to like breathe or meditate for 5-10 minutes, whatever I needed. But it also, I think, just is applicable to just life in general, and I find myself using it all the time now. But it took me a really long time to actually embrace that idea. I've had a few moments where I've felt extremely empowered, and it's always like at this precipice in my life where I could either stay in what I've been doing and how I've been behaving, or like jump off the cliff and really grow as a person and as a woman, not redefine myself, but find another part of myself. One of those moments for sure would be leaving the abusive relationship I was in. That was maybe the most empowered I've ever felt. That kind of still fuels me. I still feel that empowerment. Directing was such a joy for me because being on the other side of the camera, specifically on Supergirl, it's so hard sometimes to see all the moving parts. But I think I was able to, as a director on a show that I knew so well, work from the inside out rather than outside in, which I think a lot of times, especially in the superhero genre, it's done that way because we're so worried about the action and the spectacle. I really enjoyed that being what I needed and wanted. I have a lot of incredible women on my team. And my team actually is, the majority of my team is women. There is something about having a lot of feminine energy. I come from a household of women and sisters, and there were times in my house where the only male was the dog. And I find that really empowering. A lot of times there's a lot of things that women can get done together that is specific to just women putting their heads together and creating something special. It's kind of women across the board, save for like one or two. And I admire all of them. I guess I would say my pet peeve with the industry is also, in general, just a pet peeve I think that we face living in America, and it's this notion of work, 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 and I'll sleep when I'm dead. And it was a big job, Supergirl, in the most wonderful ways and then in really difficult ways. And it was long, long, long hours and really physically demanding. So now I have this time, to breathe. It's nice to have that space. My role models as a child were not typical for kids. I loved Gene Kelly, was obsessed with Gene Kelly. His work ethic really stood out to me, and that was something I so admired. I would go to tap camp, and I used to learn the choreography from Singin' in the Rain, and we would play it on a projector as we did it together, and that to me just felt like the coolest thing in the entire world. It just made me fall in love with performing. I have also gotten a lot of bad advice, haven't we all? One piece of advice I was given was to fill a chickenpox scar on my forehead because it was distracting. And then I got a job not 3 weeks later after someone gave me the advice to do this, where the director specifically said, "Oh, I love that scar on your forehead, it makes you human." So that was validating, and I guess my pivot from that advice was just understanding that I didn't have to change who I was physically to find my own way. And then the other piece of advice that for whatever reason it stuck with me, on the pilot of Supergirl, I was laying down on the ground and this shot was maybe not in the most flattering position for my face, I guess, I don't know. And someone said, "Oh, you should stick your tongue to the roof of your mouth and it'll get rid of your double chin." And I just remember thinking, that's not at all what I'm thinking about. I guess the way that I pivoted from that was just to remember to stay true to the story I want to tell and to not, I guess it was a moment where I was kept my priorities in check. These days, I'm really inspired by people that are fearless in what they're trying to say and the stories they're telling. I've been really inspired by Michaela Cole and Bo Burnham and people that are pushing the needle and telling the stories that normally people wouldn't take chances on. Those two specifically, these recently, I've just been so inspired by what they have to say and how they've done it. I'll tell you what question I'd be okay with never hearing again, and that's, what superpower would you choose? I don't know how many times I've been asked that question. And I think I always just said I would want to fly, but it's a fun question, but I heard it a lot.